Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Shuangsheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 136 391 The Inevitable Trend. 136th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Zhuang Yu said, "You've been fanning the flames for days, leaving him no way out. The air reeks of conspiracy. Have all the Imperial Court's martial mystic cultivators died out? Can't you find a single one to challenge Xie Chukai? Aren't you supposed to be supremely intelligent? Why would you think this is a simple challenge? Do you really believe he's doing this for me?" Zhang Ning asked. Zhuang Yu replied, "Precisely because I know this isn't a simple challenge, I understand the danger even more clearly. He's not an Imperial Court martial mystic cultivator. He has no backing in the Imperial Court. Unlike you, the Zhang clan has a transcendent ancestor, and you have the second palace master as your master. He's going to die." After a long silence, Zhang Ning said, "I know. That's why I'll stay with him tonight, whether he wins or loses." Then, Zhang Ning added, "I can only tell you that this battle is inevitable. You probably don't understand him at all. His goals and mine are aligned. But your Zuoqiu clan is only pursuing its own ambitions." Zhuang Yu said, "Your words have angered me. Am I to understand this as a declaration of war? I have no intention of declaring war on you, nor would I ever do so because of someone else. But just because you've cultivated for a year or two longer doesn't mean your cultivation will always be ahead of mine. If you consider me an enemy, I'll play along to the end. I advise you to leave the city immediately." Zhang Ning gracefully dismounted from the exotic beast and approached the convoy bearing the flag of the West Sea Royal Manor. Zhuang Yu stared in astonishment at Zhang Ning's retreating figure, then burst into laughter, realizing she needed to re-evaluate her understanding of her. It was clear that her fiancé truly had found a female soulmate. The convoy was grand, escorted by a military guard. It was immediately apparent that a high-ranking member of the palace had arrived. The lead carriage was exquisitely ornate, pulled by rare beasts shrouded in clouds, and had flown directly from the sky. As the carriage settled, Song Qingli was the first to emerge, nodding gently at Zhang Ning. Zhang Ning bowed respectfully. "Zhang Ning greets Princess Yunchang. May Her Highness enjoy boundless blessings and live 10,000 years, 10,000 years, 10,000 years." The surrounding martial mystic cultivators were stunned, then erupted into a heated discussion. Who could have imagined that a clash between two young cultivators would draw out such a prominent figure? Princess Yunchang was only surviving child of the King of the Western Sea, already several centuries old. For nearly 60 years, she had never appeared in public. It could be said that under the aloof authority of the Imperial Court, she held the highest position. Even the Transcendent had to show her some respect. 3 days ago, Tai Shi Yu, Zhang Ning, and Zhe Shantong had contacted many young masters from influential clans who were willing to join their cause. Each had been assigned specific tasks, all working to ensure the success of today's battle. Some had sealed off the 4 city gates, preventing Xie Chukai from slipping away unnoticed. Others had been shadowing him every moment. After the Imperial Court's meeting, the shocking news of the crisis of the mother-child springs had quietly spread among the core members of the influential clans. Naturally, many had joined the cause, unwilling to sit idly by and await their doom. Song Qingli's task was to bring forth Princess Yunchang. No matter what, they had to leverage her influence to force the Six Thoughts Zen Temple to open its gates. Inside the carriage, a gentle, aged voice chuckled, "If one cannot break through to the other shore, how can they live to 1,000 years? Ancestor, you definitely can," Song Qingli replied softly. "The great battle in the Western Territory is about to begin. I have come to pray for blessings for the soldiers of the Western Sea Slave. Qingli, go knock on the temple's door. Do so with a sincere heart, and pray that the Bodhisattva will grant our soldiers a triumphant return." Princess Yunchang's voice was soft, yet it resonated clearly in the ears of every martial mystic cultivator present. Song Qingli ascended the steps, holding a copper ring, and gently knocked on the door. After several attempts, there was no response. Song Qingli infused her voice with spiritual qi, and it boomed like thunder. "Princess Yunchang of the West Sea Royal Manor has come to pray for the Western Territory soldiers. Please, Zen Master Six Thoughts, open the Buddhist sect and grant us this favor." Before long, other young disciples arrived, accompanied by respected immortal realm giants from their clans, to knock on the door. Some came to pray for the Grand Palace Master. Others came to worship the statue of the Mist Heavenly Sovereign. Gradually, many people began to sense something amiss. No matter how high Zen Master Six Thoughts' cultivation or status, could he truly compare to Princess Yunchang? Could he compare to the lives of the Western Territory soldiers? Wouldn't this shake the army's morale? More than a dozen young disciples from the Thundercloud sect, led by Lu Kangsheng, had just entered Lingxiao City today, intending to spend the new year there. Something's wrong, Lu Kangsheng said. This so-called decisive battle is deeply suspicious. Someone asked, what do you mean? Lu Kangsheng replied, the stage is set too high. Two Dao Seed Realm juniors are putting on a show, and even with the greatest talent, it wouldn't warrant so many Immortal Realm giants coming out to support them. And Princess Yun Chong is among them. Lu Wensheng sneered, what's even more absurd is that Li Wei is only a 5-star spiritual master. How could he possibly win? If he suffers a crushing defeat, how will these Immortal Realm giants who set up the stage save face? The entire imperial court will be utterly humiliated. Qin Qian frowned, is Xie Chukai really that strong? Lu Wensheng replied, he's crossed the Dao Fruit Realm. In the past 3 days, he's defeated 10 Dao Seed Realm 7th Heaven experts in a row. He took a punch from Shi Luyu, a Dao Seed Realm 8th Heaven cultivator, without a scratch. A 5-star spiritual master. He could swat them away with a casual wave of his hand. Lu Kangsheng's observation skills were unparalleled. With a single glance, he saw Qin Qian's deep worry, which stirred his own emotions. Displeased, he feigned indifference. Senior brother Xie possesses the purest bloodline of the sacred dark family. His physical body is incredibly powerful, even the young celestial emperors at the same cultivation level might not be his match. Li Wei is being exploited by the imperial court because of Zhang Ning, dragged into a storm he can't possibly weather. Whoosh. The 1,000 Zhang Tall Phoenix Pavilion's formation activated, causing the surrounding mist to churn and the clear scream of a phoenix to echo across the cloud heaven, Yuntian, immortal plane. Martial mystic cultivators throughout the city turned their gazes upward, all deeply shaken. Since the Grand Palace Master had locked herself away in the Phoenix Pavilion, such a violent surge of energy had never before erupted from it. Moments later, Zhe Shantong descended from the mountain, riding the clouds directly toward the Six Thoughts Zen Temple. He shouted, by order of the Grand Palace Master, Zen Master Six Thoughts, immediately opened the temple gates. The crowd erupted in an uproar. All the martial mystic cultivators were electrified. Had the Grand Palace Master finally emerged from seclusion? Many martial mystic cultivators who revered the Grand Palace Master as their faith knelt and bowed, prostrating themselves toward the Phoenix Pavilion. Within the monastery, a voice finally responded, Zhe Shantong, do you know the consequences of falsely claiming an imperial decree? Zhe Shantong stood before the monastery gates, gazing up at the vast Buddhist light within. Falsely claiming an imperial decree is a capital offense. Therefore, I could never be lying. The decree I just delivered is absolutely genuine. Zen Master Six Thoughts, surely you wouldn't force the Grand Palace Master herself to come and beg you to open the gates. Amid the crowd, Shi Jiujai shouted, this is outrageous. Even I, a mere barbarian bandit, can't stand for this. A mere Buddhist temple dares to defy the Grand Palace Master's imperial decree. Does Lingxiao City still belong to Lingxiao Palace? Has Lingxiao Palace become so weak that it no longer holds absolute authority in Lingxiao City? Shi Luyu, ever eager for a spectacle, yelled, this is an utter insult to our most revered Grand Palace Master. It's too much. I say we storm the place. Everyone, attack together. Zhe Shantong, take the lead. Zhe Shantong's eyes sharpened as he summoned his 5th grade 1000-character artifact, the Kanglong Whip. Boom. He slammed the whip heavily onto the ground. Fueled by spiritual chi, the 5-foot whip rapidly expanded into a golden pillar towering dozens of meters high, a golden dragon formed from scriptures coiling around it. This whip was bestowed upon me by my master, with the command to vanquish evil and heresy. Today, I shall see if it can cleave open the gates of this Zen temple. All of you, join me in this attack. With his arms wrapped around the pillar, he charged forward first. Boom. The resounding crash of the Kanglong whip striking the gates of the Six Thoughts Zen temple, the roar of the golden dragon, and the continuous barrage of spiritual artifact attacks from countless martial mystic cultivators echoed across Qilin Terrace. Are you attempting to force your way in? The third palace master, clad in colorful robes with her hair neatly coiled atop her head, rose abruptly from the divine throne in the Scale Terrace Great Hall. Her skin glowed like jade, and 6-colored immortal radiance erupted from her, illuminating the entire heavens and earth. Bang, bang. The group of elders kneeling inside and outside the hall, pleading for action, were flung away like straw dolls by the radiant haze. Tall and slender, the third palace master's phoenix eyes blazed with frost, and icy crystals hissed and spread across the 3 palace complexes of Lingxiao Palace. Taishi Qingxi immediately scrambled to his feet, blood streaming from his nose and mouth. He knelt on the ground, supporting himself with his hands, and shouted, the tide of events is irreversible. If we fail to open the Six Thoughts Zen temple today, to allow the people to pray and the decisive battle to proceed, Lingxiao Palace will lose all public support. Without the people's support, we will fall without even fighting. Another elder slammed his head against the ground with a loud thump. If we can't even open the gates of a Zen temple, who will ever take Lingxiao Palace seriously again? Third Palace Master, please issue an order for Zen Master Six Thoughts to open the gates. I'll go smash my head against the gates of the Six Thoughts Zen Temple right now. A towering aberrant humanoid warrior in full armor strode out of the Scale Terrace Great Hall. Get back here. The Third Palace Master's voice was sharp and cold, but it softened noticeably as she continued. Before you go smashing your head, go to the City Defense Corps and have them fully activate the city protecting formation. Also, order the 3 great battalions and the embroidered robe Divine Guard to assemble immediately and await my command. The aberrant humanoid warrior was overjoyed, knowing that the Third Palace Master had finally yielded to the pressure and was about to test the depths of the Six Thoughts Zen Temple. He knelt and kowtowed, shouting, "Long live the Third Palace Master." Then, he descended the mountain with 6 or 7 other giants, heading in different directions. The Third Palace Master stood with her wide sleeves behind her back, her skirt like phoenix feathers, her figure enveloped in 6-colored immortal radiance. She slowly approached the 10-jong long and 10-jong wide jade window, her cloud-like eyes gazing silently at the distant earth demon pine and the Six Thoughts Zen Temple. She wasn't sure whether the ghost infant incident was connected to those people. But the situation had already pushed her into this position. Why not seize the opportunity to probe the depths of the matter? If she could truly resolve the problem, the risk would be worth taking. Xingyuanu, go to the Six Thoughts Zen Temple and deliver my order. Tell Zen Master Six Thoughts to open the Zen Temple gates. Tonight, on New Year's Eve, all martial mystic cultivators in the city will gather to welcome the new year. The city protecting formation is fully activated. He should understand the consequences of refusing to open the Zen Temple gates any longer, the Third Palace Master said. Disciple, understood. Kneeling outside the hall, Xingyuanu descended the mountain at lightning speed. The Third Palace Master glanced at Taishi Qingxi, her voice laced with displeasure. After all the fanfare your family has created, what are the chances of victory in this decisive battle between the young generations of the Lingxiao realm and the Calamity Crossing Temple? Taishi Qingxi, having achieved his goal, wore a wide grin. None at all. The battle itself was never the point. If you have the audacity to make such a grand spectacle, you should have the ability to win. How utterly humiliating. You've shamed not only the Lingxiao realm but all of its spiritual masters. Get out. Go watch over the City Defense Corps, the Third Palace Master snapped angrily. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Shuangsheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 137 392 Clash at the Peak of Six Thoughts. 137th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Dusk. Thick, cold gray clouds hung low, painting the sky a deep crimson. Deep within the Six Thoughts Zen Temple, 6 demon mountains stood linked together, their dark silhouettes looming against the backdrop of thin clouds. Their imposing presence exuded an eerie aura. Xie Chukai, clad in a robe as crimson as blood, strode along the spiritual creek, his gaze devoid of its former gentleness. His aura was sharp, no longer concealed or feigned, as he returned to his true self. His state of mind had reached a new level in the past 3 days. Taishi Yu's carriage had been following closely behind him for the entire time. First Commander Taishi must be disappointed, wouldn't you say? Xie has neither fled nor retreated. In 3 days, I've defeated 10 opponents, leaving them either crippled or severely wounded. Do you think the one who fled was Li Wei? Xie Chukai asked casually. Inside the carriage, Taishi Yu's mood was heavy. He had witnessed all 10 battles, gaining a clearer understanding of Xie Chukai's combat prowess. This man could contend with 7th heaven martial mystic cultivators of the Dao Seed realm using only his physical strength. If Xie Chukai unleashed his full power, overwhelming Li Wei with speed, would Li Wei even have a chance to activate his life-saving talisman? In a clash between a martial mystic cultivator and a spiritual master, even if their cultivation levels were nearly equal, victory or death could be decided in an instant. No matter how many tricks you had up your sleeve, they were useless if you couldn't use them. Whoosh. The gates of the Six Thoughts Zen Temple and its formation light veil swung open. Xie Chukai had arrived first, standing before the gates, facing the crowd outside. He met countless gazes, standing like a lone warrior blocking an army. Crimson spiritual chi surged from his body, forming a vast sea of blood-red clouds that filled the path to the temple. The crimson smoke billowed across the wilderness outside the temple and along the steps and paths within. A shout rang out from the crowd, Xie Chukai, you think you can block the gates with your own body? You're overestimating yourself. If the Lingxiao realm fears losing, then all of you can attack me together. I'll take every Dao technique from your immortal realm great powers. Xie Chukai smiled calmly, facing the crowd without fear. Then, the ancestral field opened, and scriptures poured forth, floating within the blood-red chi sea and radiating light like 1,000 lamps. No one moved. Silence fell over the crowd. Everyone sensed Xie Chukai's formidable intellect. Tonight, he had every reason to stand before the gates. If anyone other than Li Wei attacked him, the Lingxiao realm would be the one to lose. The people of the world could enter the Six Thoughts Zen Temple, but if Xie Chukai stood guard today, they would be turned away. Forcing your way in is certainly an option. But that would be like the Lingxiao realm cutting itself off at the knees. Xie Chukai had already secured his invincibility tonight. Even if Li Wei were to defeat him, it would only be because Xie Chukai had first been besieged and severely wounded by all the martial mystic cultivators of the Lingxiao realm. Even if he hadn't been injured at all. If Li Wei were to kill him, the sacred dark family's heavens chosen wouldn't have died at Li Wei's hands, but rather been bullied and hunted down by countless martial mystic cultivators of the Lingxiao realm. In the world, everything is interconnected. If you come under the banner of a challenge, riding the momentum of the masses, you must also be bound by the rules of that challenge. Lu Wensheng's hatred for Li Wei ran deep. If Li Wei can't even break through the gate, the imperial court will become the laughingstock of the world. I reckon the 8th and 9th heavens martial mystic cultivators will have to intervene in the end. Entering the Zen temple is inevitable, and so is the humiliation. The sun had completely set. Though twilight hadn't fully faded, scattered stars had already begun to emerge. Li Wei has arrived. Someone shouted from atop a distant tower-like structure. Countless eyes turned toward the source of the cry. There he was. Li Wei, clad in a loose azure robe, strode down the wide main street. The wind mansion at the back of his head glowed brilliantly, forming concentric golden ripples that illuminated the twilight. His expression was focused and serene. Contrary to many people's expectations, there was no trace of radicalism or arrogance about him, nor any hint of timidity or hesitation. He resembled a still lake, embodying the grace and presence of a legendary spiritual master, ethereal, transcendent, and unfathomably deep. Hidden Nine and Yin Shi flanked him, ready to sacrifice themselves at any moment. Cao Shisen and Chen Huang moved along the rooftops on either side of the street, escorting him all the way. Old Zhou and several Hidden One elders walked beneath the shadowed eaves, clearing away any potential threats. On his way here, Li Wei had already survived 4 assassination attempts by death squads. Another faction within the imperial court was actively trying to prevent him from reaching the Six Thoughts Zen temple, believing that killing Xie Chukai would unleash a catastrophe. Amidst the bustling crowd, all martial mystic cultivators cleared a path. Suddenly, another assassination attempt erupted. A figure charged out of the crowd, their cultivation reaching the 9th heaven of the Dao Seed realm. But they failed. Princess Yun Chong seized them from afar, crushing them instantly. There was no point in capturing them alive. Princess Yun Chong and the other great powers knew perfectly well who had ordered the assassination. Even a death warrior wouldn't reveal anything. Zhang Ning stepped forward, ignoring the jeering crowd, and produced a suit of silver armor, the silver scale 1000-character armor. I borrowed it for you. Let me help you put it on. Li Wei shook his head gently. I'm prepared. This gesture of yours is worth 10 times more than any armor. Tai Shiyu stepped down from his carriage and reminded him, Xie Chukai's physical body is exceptionally strong, far surpassing his cultivation. That's the fundamental reason he can challenge someone in the 7th heaven of the Dao Seed realm. You absolutely cannot let him get close. Li Wei nodded slightly. Boom. A 5-foot golden Kanglong whip flew from afar and plunged into the ground at Li Wei's feet. Zhe Shantong said, the sacred dark family takes this battle very seriously. One of their elders sent Xie Chukai a new blood robe. This Kanglong whip of mine is a 5th grade 1000-character artifact. It should help you break through his defenses. Thank you for the information. I won't ask you to compensate for the grievous soul spear you shattered. Li Wei didn't pick up the Kanglong whip. He stood relaxed, yet exuded an air of confidence. Then, he gazed at the thick sea of blood-red clouds and the dense scripture covering the entrance of the Six Thoughts Zen temple. Through the haze, he saw Xie Chukai's blurred but upright figure. Li Wei's smile gradually faded as he called out into the night, has the sacred dark family prepared to lose a young descendant? An aged voice echoed from within the Zen temple, as long as it's your own methods and strength, we accept victory or death. The sacred dark family elder responded this way to protect Xie Chukai and limit Li Wei. Strands of Xie Chukai's spiritual qi, like steel chains, wove together tens of thousands of threads before the Zen temple gate. Each scripture, as heavy as a mountain, could crush the earth. Ordinary 6th heaven martial mystic cultivators in the Dao Seed realm couldn't even budge them, let alone approach him. It was like trying to climb to the heavens. Whoosh! A blinding golden crow flame erupted from Li Wei's body as he activated the forward secret incantation character. His figure flashed, as bright and sharp as a shooting star streaking across the sky, piercing through Xie Chukai's meticulously arranged blood cloud qi and Taoist method scriptures as if they were mere decorations. His momentum was unstoppable, like a withering gale. It was as if no barrier could stop him. In an instant, Li Wei appeared above the Six Thoughts Zen Temple gate, poised to leap over Xie Chukai's head. Xie Chukai's eyes blazed with bright, piercing light. He pressed his palms forward in midair, releasing profound ice force from his palms to form two white, crystalline mist clouds. Frosty mist spread out in wisps, freezing the stone slabs beneath. Whoosh! The shadow of the Fusong divine tree manifested. Brilliant crimson gold light shone, its branches solidified, its leaves sharp and swaying, shattering two profound ice palm seal frost mists with each movement. The impact shattered dozens of layers of stone steps behind Xie Chukai, sending rocks flying. Roar! A dragon's roar echoed. Li Wei, riding the shadow of a yellow dragon, ascended toward the heavens. Beneath the branches and leaves of the earth demon pine, 10,000 meters high, he leapt and climbed air staircases, shouting with boundless ambition, "I'll be waiting for you at the peak of Six Thoughts." He's broken through to become a six-star spiritual master. Xie Chukai muttered, and with a whoosh, he erupted with even greater speed than Li Wei. His body cultivation technique became a blood-red streak, chasing after the sky. His Dao heart manifestation, a cloud of blood, spread out first, enveloping Li Wei. At 2,000 meters, Xie Chukai caught up to Li Wei. Whoosh! Li Wei suddenly flipped, head down, and plunged downward, his fingers forming a seal. He unleashed the Ember Annihilation Finger technique, energy erupting as his body transformed into a fiery cloud. Amidst the violent tremors, a beam of finger force shot out, aimed at Xie Chukai's head. Psychic power and martial mystic power merged into one. While sixfold samsara burning karma technique was indeed a great technique of the heretical sect, it wasn't exclusive to heretical martial mystic cultivators. And Shanjing had cultivated this technique for centuries, yet no one would label her a major figure in the heretical sect based on that alone. Do you think you'll make the same mistake again? Xie Chukai's blood-stained robe released blood clouds and scripture, lifting his body. The Dao technique he had prepared long ago was unleashed, and a clear peacock scream echoed through the void. It was the second layer of profound ice force, the profound ice divine peacock. The profound ice force transformed into a massive white peacock, spreading its wings and soaring high, blocking the finger force beam. Simultaneously, countless ice crystal white feathers surged toward Li Wei like a rain of flying swords. The Fusong divine tree's illusory light around Li Wei rooted itself in the void, melting all the incoming ice crystal white feathers into droplets. Swish! Swish! Body techniques were unleashed. In an instant, the two combatants landed on the trunk of the earth demon pine, continuing their battle as they climbed upward. The earth demon pine's trunk was nearly as thick as a mountain peak, as hard as divine iron, and covered in countless cracks and crevices like a stone cliff. Below, martial mystic cultivators from the Lingxiao realm surged into the Six Thoughts Zen Temple like a tidal wave. Who said hidden ones couldn't even enter the Six Thoughts Zen Temple? He's a formidable spiritual master, a legendary figure, one in 1,000 years. What does legendary mean? Even the Holy Spirit kings of this era wouldn't have dared call themselves legendary in their youth. Yin Shi shouted proudly at the Thunderclap sect disciples in the distance, as if he himself were the legendary spiritual master. Seeing the shattered and collapsed stone steps behind the temple gates, many gasped in shock, imagining the overwhelming power of the previous clash. He's broken through to the six-star spiritual master realm, putting him on par with Xie Chukai. His golden crow flame spiritual power is far stronger than it was a month ago, Song Lin said, turning to Tai Shi Yu. Can his golden crow flame's concentration match Xie Chukai's sixth heaven spiritual qi? Tai Shi Yu, his eyes fixed on the two figures chasing each other up the tree trunk, had initially been indifferent to the outcome. But now, he found himself suddenly invested and tense, sensing a possibility. In terms of energy level alone, I'd say they're comparable. But Xiao Li has only just broken through, while Xie Chukai is at the peak of the sixth heaven. Damn it, how frustrating. If Xiao Li's psychic power had reached the peak of the six-star spiritual master realm, we might truly have witnessed the ultimate showdown between a spiritual master and a martial mystic cultivator at the same level today. Song Qingli said, doesn't this put Li Wei at a significant disadvantage now? Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Shuangsheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 138 393 Young Governor, Emperor's Dragon Soul. 138th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Truly formidable. Tai Shi Yu continued, Xie Chukai's true strength lies in his physical body. Song Lin, you're a top-tier expert at the sixth heaven level in Lingxiao City. How much of your combat power can you unleash using only your physical strength? Song Lin replied, the Song clan is rich in resources, so we haven't neglected physical cultivation. I can easily hold my own against Dao Seed Realm 5th Heaven martial mystic cultivators using only my fists. Xie Chukai can withstand attacks from weaker 7th heaven martial mystic cultivators without using spiritual qi, Dao techniques, or spiritual artifacts. Though he appears to be a 6th heaven martial mystic cultivator, it wouldn't be wrong to call him a 7th heaven martial mystic cultivator. After all, the physical body can be considered an independent path of cultivation, Taishiyu explained. Song Lin was astonished. Only 9th heaven martial mystic cultivators possess such a physique. Immortal Jie approached. This is the bloodline of the sacred dark family. Even the young celestial emperors, at the same cultivation level, can't match Xie Chukai's physical strength and resilience. Otherwise, how could he have repeatedly defeated 7th heaven Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivators, winning battle after battle? To stand a chance against him, I'd need to reach the 6th heaven level. Only at the peak of the 6th heaven would I have a decent chance of victory. One after another, Imperial Court Immortal Realm giants, along with troops from the City Defense Corps, Phoenix Terrace, and Qilin Terrace, marched toward the Six Thoughts Zen Temple from all directions. Several Imperial Court masters hidden among the spectators, carrying heavy weapons, charged toward the Six Demon Mountains. Their true objective tonight was to uncover the hidden secrets of the Six Thoughts Zen Temple and find the root cause of the Ghost Infant incident. Before long, Li Wei and Xie Chukai had ascended 5 or 6,000 meters above the ground, reaching the branches of an earth demon pine. Looking down, the figures below appeared like dust motes. The city's 10,000 lights were spread out before them, and beyond the city walls, the immortal plains faded into the night. Martial mystic cultivators on the ground had to channel their spiritual power into their eyes to clearly see their battle. Li Wei had already summoned his myriad manifestation staff spear and affixed a divine swiftness talisman to his body. He unleashed beams of golden crow flame, constantly attacking from afar, denying Xie Chukai any chance to close in. Xie Chukai, knowing the power of Li Wei's divine swiftness talisman, had prepared thoroughly. His blood robe, imbued with special scriptures, could unleash speed rivaling the talismans when fully activated. In a life or death decisive battle, there could be no complacency. Li Wei landed on a branch dozens of meters thick. He reversed his myriad manifestation staff spear, the earth spirit child at the spear's tail now pointing upward, the spearhead downward. He turned to Xie Chukai, who was closing in. Do you truly believe I chose to fight at the Six Thoughts Zen Temple simply to help the Imperial Court uncover your secrets? Xie Chukai crossed the void and appeared on the branch, 20 paces away. I know you're deeply calculating, Xie Chukai said, but today, I won't leave you any openings. Where's your body-fixing talisman? Aren't you going to use it? Li Wei raised the myriad manifestation staff spear above his head. Instantly, the earth spirit child and the staff spear began to frantically absorb the earthly yin energy emanating from the earth demon pine, condensing it into a swirling gray-black energy storm that gathered around him. So that's how it is. Your battle weapon can actually absorb the earth demon pine's power and use it for itself. After exchanging dozens of tentative blows, Xie Chukai no longer dared to underestimate Li Wei. Whoosh! The ancestral field opened, and an ancient silver blade flew out. The blade's surface was covered in dense, blood-red scriptures, unleashing terrifying power and sending blade chi dancing across the sky. Xie Chukai swung the blade. The blade's light resembled a bright silver moon, illuminating the night sky and cleaving through the storm of earthly yin energy Li Wei had unleashed. The spiritual artifact in his hand was no ordinary weapon. Called the Blood Pool Silver Sea, it was the blade used by the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor in his youth. It had cultivated its own consciousness and absorbed the Emperor's spirit. With each swing, the blade unleashed an invisible force that could shock an opponent's soul spirit and will. Li Wei sensed the silver blade's power. He had clearly felt a blade of light pierce his mind just moments ago. Any other martial mystic cultivator would likely have had their intent shattered or fled in terror. But Li Wei had spiritual power protecting him and the Fusong Divine Tree spiritual light shielding his mind, allowing him to dispel the blade of light. Boom! Boom! The tide of battle had turned. After Xie Chukai seized the Blood Pool Silver Sea, his momentum soared. His spirit and aura reached their peak as he shifted forms and slashed with his blade. Li Wei channeled the Earth's yin qi, wielding the myriad manifestation staff spear to parry Xie Chukai's attacks from afar. He's closing the distance, trying to exploit his superior physical strength to overcome my weakness as a spiritual master. I can't just stand here and wait to die. Fight! A crimson gold flame armor materialized around Li Wei, his spiritual qi surging within. Spiritual qi flowed internally, while psychic power surged externally. Inner and outer forces combined. Boom! Li Wei swung the myriad manifestation staff spear. The star track patterns on its shaft erupted, unleashing a torrent of Earth's yin qi that collided head-on with Xie Chukai's Blood Pool Silver Sea. Countless crimson scriptures exploded in the impact. The overwhelming force of the collision slammed into both combatants. Li Wei's azure robe, a mere ordinary spiritual artifact battle armor, shattered instantly. His body was sent flying backward through the void, landing on a slender silver leaf 100 meters away. He was now far from the main trunk of the earth demon pine. Li Weiyi's body swayed in the frigid air, rising and falling like it might plummet at any moment into the abyss thousands of meters below. This was Li Weiyi's first time engaging in close-quarters combat with Xie Chukai, and he truly felt the overwhelming power of the other man's physical body. Xie Chukai's eyes were filled with disbelief. Li Weiyi, a spiritual master, had taken a direct blow from his blade, yet appeared completely unscathed. The martial mystic cultivators watching from below were equally stunned. Didn't you say Xie Chukai could contend with a 7th heaven Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivator using only his physical body? Now, with his physical strength enhanced by spiritual qi and a spiritual artifact battle weapon, he couldn't even seriously injure Li Weiyi, let alone kill him with a single strike, Song Lin said, feeling that Tai Shi Yu had exaggerated Xie Chukai's abilities. Tai Shi Yu frowned deeply, the battle weapon Li Weiyi wields is extraordinary. It can harness the power of the earth demon pine, and he's also adept at combining martial mystic powers and psychic techniques, using martial mystic techniques internally and psychic techniques externally to partially compensate for the gap in cultivation realms. Immortal Jie chimed in my opinion, Li Weiyi's physical strength is already quite formidable, which is why he could withstand the blow. Exactly. A normal spiritual master wouldn't possess such combat reflexes or physical resilience. Formations and talismanic techniques, the primary offensive methods for spiritual masters, have become almost irrelevant in his case, Tai Shi Yu agreed. Song Qingli stood beside Princess Yun Cheng's carriage, gazing up at the sky. Is that an official robe from the imperial court he's wearing? An aged voice replied from within the carriage, it's one of the 300 governors' official robes forged by the Mist Heavenly Sovereign after she slew the flying dragon. She divided the dragon soul into 300 parts and sealed them within the robes to guard the 300 prefectures. When Li Weiyi's outer robe burst apart, the governor's official robe was revealed. The robe shimmered with iridescent light. On its chest, a cloud dragon pattern was embroidered. The dragon was lithe and powerful, soaring through the clouds. A gemstone-studded belt and jade pendants adorned the waist. He retrieved his long-winged official hat, carefully placing it on his head and adjusting it. The elegant and handsome young governor stood on a cloud-covered branch, resembling the peerless martial mystic path champions of the Mist Heavenly Sovereign's era 1,000 years ago. Such a sight hadn't been seen in a millennium. Clang! Xie Chukai slashed his blade, severing the branch. Li Weiyi didn't fall with the branch. Instead, he was enveloped in a ball of purple mist and vanished into space. The next moment, he reappeared dozens of meters above Xie Chukai's head, wielding the myriad manifestation staff spear from afar, leaving a fiery trail of light in its wake. So your spatial treasure is an official robe, Xie Chukai said, shattering the light trail. He immediately unleashed his Dao Heart manifestation completely. Xie Chukai knew that against a space evasion treasure, only his Dao Heart manifestation and battle intent could restrain it. Otherwise, Li Weiyi would seize the initiative. His Dao Heart manifestation has spread 9 miles. Xie Chukai is only a small step away from the young celestial emperor's standard, Yao Qingshan, hidden among the spectators underground, remarked. Normally, an inferior root Dao Seed Realm cultivator's Dao Heart manifestation would only reach a mile in the 6th heaven. A typical Dao Seed Realm cultivator like Shi Zhoujai could achieve 3 miles. Inheritors in the 6th heaven could reach 5 miles or more, far surpassing their peers and enabling them to fight above their level. The young celestial emperors, however, could usually achieve 10 miles. The range of a Dao Heart manifestation could reflect a martial mystic cultivator's combat strength to some extent, but it wasn't absolute. The difference wouldn't be exaggerated to several or even 10 times. And Shanjing asked, with Xie Chukai's physical advantage, his combat strength shouldn't be inferior to the young celestial emperors at this level. Do you think he has a chance of winning? It depends on whether he can break through his martial mystic path. Only by breaking through and condensing a Dao Lotus can his martial mystic path techniques unleash their full power. Relying solely on psychic power to break Xie Chukai's defenses will be incredibly difficult. Yao Qingshan replied. Many sharp-eyed observers realized Li Weiyi was refining a treasure, causing his martial mystic path fluctuations to become uncontrollable. That's why the wind mansion at the back of his head had been radiating golden light, and his spiritual qi had been constantly vibrating. Boom! The blood robe and official robe clashed, profound ice force and golden crow flame collided. The governor's official robe was a rare treasure. Besides its spatial power, it significantly enhanced speed and defense. Even when restricted by his opponent's powerful Dao Heart manifestation, it allowed Li Weiyi to create distance and rely on long-range attacks. Xie Chukai said, with this strategy, you'll never break through my defenses, let alone defeat me. My cultivation is deeper than yours. If we drag this out, you'll be the first to exhaust your spiritual chi and psychic power. Fine, then try taking one of my moves. Li Wei immediately activated the dragon soul within the governor's official robe. Instantly, a mist-like giant dragon emerged. Its head, claws, scales, and tail were all remarkably solid, radiating the aura of an ancient celestial emperor. A dragon's roar echoed, like thunder exploding in Xie Chukai's mind. Xie Chukai's expression changed dramatically. He immediately poured all his strength into his silver blade, standing in the blood pool silver sea to resist the ancient celestial emperor's aura emanating from the dragon soul. Then, he strode forward with a domineering swing of his blade. Li Wei stood atop the dragon head, his spear descending like a dragonfly touching water, aimed directly at Xie Chukai's head. For the first time since the battle began, Xie Chukai felt true danger. Abandoning his attempt to clash head-on with the dragon soul, he used the force of the dragon claw's swing to propel himself into the void, away from the earth demon pine. This also allowed him to evade the golden crow flame spear that was thrusting toward his head. It could be said that this was the first time Xie Chukai had been genuinely forced back and fallen into a disadvantageous position since the battle erupted. The power of the dragon soul within the governor's official robe was the cause. To be able to summon such a powerful dragon soul. How far has he cultivated the dragon awakening technique? Among the martial mystic cultivators watching from below, Tai Shiyu believed that Zhang Ning had taught Li Wei the dragon awakening technique. Zhang Ning, on the other hand, suspected that the Tai Shi clan had passed it down to Li Wei. Regardless, this decisive battle between the top geniuses of the Lingxiao realm and the Calamity Crossing Temple had far exceeded everyone's expectations. Who could have predicted that Li Wei, who had been widely underestimated, would hold his own so fiercely at the level of a newly minted sixth heaven spiritual master? Even Dao Seed realm martial mystic cultivators in the seventh heaven of Lingxiao City couldn't fight Xie Chukai with such back-and-forth intensity. Far away on the peak of Qilin Terrace, the third palace master frowned slightly as she gazed at the earth demon pine. When the dragon soul had burst from the governor's official robe, she had clearly sensed that Li Wei's dragon awakening technique was merely superficial, incapable of truly summoning so many dragon souls. The feeling was subtle, yet as a holy spiritual king, she had detected it. What secret is this little fellow hiding? Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Shuangsheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 139, 394, The Rising Sun from Fusong. 139th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The 300 sets of governors' official robes and official seals possessed extraordinary power. Forged by Zhenhai Guanwu, they were entrusted to the 300 prefects to safeguard the 300 provinces of the living realm, suppressing demon kings, sects, and dead spirits. These robes and seals had sustained the Lingxiao realm's glorious prosperity for thousands of years. Before assuming office, each governor had to have their official robe and official seal activated personally by Zhenhai Guanwu. Only then could they wield their power. Upon the completion of their term, the robes and seals would automatically fall dormant, becoming unusable. Many believed that one of the reasons for the Lingxiao realm's devastating defeat 1,000 years ago was the disappearance of Zhenhai Guanwu. With the governor's terms ending, the robes and seals in many ways lost their effectiveness, severely weakening their combat capabilities. The governor's official robe Li Wei wore had been activated by Zhenhai Guanwu. Without cultivating the dragon awakening technique, he could still utilize a portion of its power. This was only a portion because his cultivation was vastly inferior to that of the governor from 1,000 years ago. The dragon awakening technique was merely a spell created by Yu Yaozi specifically for those governors' official robes. It couldn't fully resolve the robes' dormancy issue and was rather cumbersome, requiring layers of cultivation to unlock more of their power. The time investment was excessive. Many argued that cultivating Dao techniques was superior to the dragon awakening technique. Dao techniques, at least, didn't rely on external forces and wouldn't be constrained by artifacts. Night had fallen, and the sky was vast and high. An ancient tree, its roots stretching back countless ages, stood majestic and eternal. Roar. The dragon soul, over 100 meters long, let out a piercing roar, its sound waves rippling outward. Its mist-like body snaked through the sky thousands of meters above the ground, radiating a hint of the emperor's might. Below, the crowd of spectators trembled in their souls, convinced that Li Wei was no mere spiritual master but a governor from ancient times who had crossed space and time to return. Li Wei stood atop the dragon soul's head, holding a 3-meter-long staff spear. Clad in a purple official robe, his figure was straight and imposing, his youth radiating sharpness and vigor. He pursued Xie Chukai across the void. Boom. A surge of psychic power spiritual light Lingguang erupted from his brow, violently shaking the air within several miles. On the branches of the earth demon pine, silver needle-like leaves rained down like silver rain. Under Li Weiyi's psychic power control, his arms swept in a circle, unleashing a torrent of energy. The foot-long silver needles transformed into a river of needles, shooting toward Xie Chukai with a sharp, swishing sound. Li Weiyi, did you really think you drove me back? You've fallen into my trap. Xie Chukai suddenly turned, fixing his gaze on Li Weiyi atop the dragon soul. He spread his arms wide. Instantly, the blood-red spiritual qi within his Dao heart manifestation, which covered an area of 9 miles, rapidly contracted, forming a heavenly collapse spectacle that crashed down upon Li Weiyi. Xie Chukai had deliberately lured Li Weiyi away from the earth demon pine, seizing the opportunity to break his advantage. He believed the reason they hadn't been able to defeat Li Weiyi for so long was because Li Weiyi could mobilize the earth demon pine's earthly yin energy, giving him a significant advantage in battle. Whoosh! Li Weiyi glanced at the sky of spiritual qi crashing down on him. Unfazed, he enveloped himself in a cloud of purple mist, causing powerful spatial fluctuations. His body vanished. The next instant, the purple mist cloud reappeared above Xie Chukai's head. Li Weiyi, standing on the sacred and radiant Fusong divine tree, crossed space and burst out of the purple mist. The spiritual light Lingguang between his eyebrows shone with blinding intensity. Golden crow flame from the spirit realm and formation scriptures surging from the Fusong divine tree enveloped his entire body. The scene was utterly divine when viewed from the ground. The Fusong divine tree was rooted in the sky, while Li Weiyi resembled a rising sun, a golden crow soaring among its branches, his light illuminating a vast city region. Its formation scriptures. It's a formation. It's the true spirit great formation of the rising sun. That little rascal actually imprinted the formation scriptures onto the Fusong divine tree spiritual light in advance, using golden crow flame to condense the morning sun in his own body as the formation's core. The formation is complete. Tai Shiyu was more excited than anyone else. He hadn't expected Li Weiyi to set up the formation this way. Nor had he anticipated that in just 3 days, Li Weiyi would not only break through to become a 6-star spiritual master but also master the true spirit great formation of the rising sun. Well, not completely master it. He had simplified the formation. While it might not be enough to deal with a 7th heaven martial mystic cultivator, it was more than sufficient for the task at hand. Xie Chukai activated the power of his blood robe to deflect the countless pine needles hurtling towards him, causing them to explode into silver mist. Then, raising his twin blades, he channeled the vast energy of the blood pool Silver Sea, manifesting a dazzling light and shadow projection, and slashed towards the falling, morning sun. It's a formation, perfectly aligned with the golden crow flame. This is the true power of a spiritual master. From Xie Chukai's ancestral field, 10 high-grade spiritual artifacts flew out, forming a protective barrier around him. His entire being was plunged into an unprecedented state of tension. These 10 spiritual artifacts were Xie Chukai's spoils of war, seized from 10 Dao Seed Realm 7th Heaven experts he had defeated. Each one was extraordinary. Li Weiyi, covered in formation scriptures with formation plates swirling around him, descended like a crimson gold morning sun, suppressing Xie Chukai and forcing him to plummet from midair towards the summit of one of the 6 demon mountains. Xie Chukai desperately resisted with the blood pool Silver Sea, but could only slow his descent. Boom! The entire 6 Thoughts Zen temple trembled slightly. On the snow-covered summit of the demon mountain, the impact of their successive falls triggered a minor avalanche. Upon landing, Xie Chukai's 10 protective spiritual artifacts scattered in all directions. He's been knocked down to the summit. What a domineering formation. Even the peerless heavenly pride of the Calamity Crossing Temple couldn't withstand it. The Fusong Divine Tree, the golden crow rising in the sun. I think I'm witnessing a relic from the ancient immortal era. Martial mystic cultivators in the Lingxiao realm roared with excitement. Many Dao Seed Realm experts activated their movement techniques, racing towards the mountain peak to witness the heavenly pride of the Calamity Crossing Temple's defeat and see if Xie Chukai was already dead. So-called genius of the sacred dark family. Not so impressive after all. We hidden ones can casually deploy a formation to knock them out of the sky. If we used our insect tamer identity and released 7 strange insects to summon a swarm, wouldn't we just crush them outright? Yin Shiyi, proud of his hidden sect origins, rushed towards the summit. Shi Zhoujai chuckled. No need for strange insects. Maybe they're worried Xie Chukai and the sacred dark family won't accept defeat. We have to crush them utterly to truly savor victory. Xie Chukai ultimately fell short of the young celestial emperor. In the same realm, he's no match for a legendary spiritual master. If the Zhu Li divine hidden ones win this battle, let's all go to the heavenly pavilion tonight. Feather Immortal pays for everything. Someone shouted. This initially drew jeers. But soon, many others joined in, finding the suggestion quite reasonable. The wind shifted subtly. Everyone sensed the extraordinary nature of the Zhu Li Divine Hidden One. Their hearts burned with a desire for victory, no longer driven by mere curiosity as they had been at first. Spectators filled the Zen temple, leaving no secrets hidden. Conflicts erupted in areas shrouded by formations. Meanwhile, a far more perilous struggle unfolded in the shadows, unknown to the masses. A transcendent from the imperial court, wielding formation flags capable of mobilizing the power of 36 earth veins, entered the Six Thoughts Zen temple. Princess Yunchong and other giant figures followed in their carriages. All the martial mystic cultivators watching the battle halted on a desolate, rock-strewn mountain ridge, gazing at the snow-covered peak ahead. There, the Fusang Divine Tree stood as if rooted atop the mountain, its radiant light illuminating the surroundings and rapidly melting the snow. Li Wei descended and took his stance between the two trees, his body engulfed in flames, formation scriptures and formation plates flashing around him. Instead of pressing his advantage, Li Wei sensed that Xie Chukai, though wounded, maintained a steady momentum. He showed no weakness, but instead exuded a dangerous aura. Xie Chukai stood on the mountain peak, having carved a massive crater into the ground. His long hair was nearly completely burned away, a dark red bloodstain clinging to his lips. His gaze locked onto Li Wei, his eyes blazing with murderous intent. Before the battle, he could never have imagined he would suffer such a crushing defeat. Since beginning his cultivation journey, he had effortlessly crushed every spiritual master he'd encountered at his level, whether they employed battle formations or talisman rain. Never before had he fought such a grueling battle. Roar! Li Wei reached into the void, summoning a dragon soul over 100 meters long. If you surrender now, I'll spare your life, just like I did at the West Sea Royal Manor last time. Of course, this wasn't genuine. It was a tactic to disrupt Xie Chukai's mental state and reason. Xie Chukai, wielding his silver blade, stepped out of the deep crater. Now, you can barely borrow the Earth Demon Pine's earthly yin energy, while my profound ice force can draw upon the Snow Mountain's frigid aura to unleash its full power. The advantage of terrain now lies with me. Li Wei countered, do you truly believe I still need the advantage of terrain? The dragon soul you summoned is powerful, the soul of an ancient celestial emperor. Your formation is also intriguing, with considerable might. But you still haven't grasped the true measure of a disciple from the sacred dark family. At the center of Xie Chukai's Dao heart manifestation, a crimson aura, spiritual chi surged, darkening to an inky black and spreading outward. In an instant, he was enveloped in darkness, vanishing from sight. Spiritual power could no longer detect him. Li Wei had long known about the absolute darkness domain, and had remained vigilant against it. With it, Xie Chukai had been able to withstand Shi Luyu's punch without injury. Now, facing it directly, Li Wei finally felt the true power of this dark force. His senses were completely useless, he couldn't see Xie Chukai's condition or discern what techniques he was using. Hiss! The dark force spread, devouring the spiritual light Lingguang emitted by the Fusang Divine Tree. Even the formation scriptures of the true spirit great formation of the rising sun began to crumble. The night sky, warped by this strange power, plunged into absolute darkness, as if layers of black cloth had been draped over it. From the darkness, Xie Chukai's voice drew closer. Night belongs to the sacred dark family. Our combat strength reaches its peak here. I have both the advantage of time and place, and my cultivation surpasses yours. How can you possibly fight me? Surrender now, kneel and beg for mercy, and I might spare your life. Li Wei, riding the dragon soul and wielding his spear, charged into the dark domain, determined to break through it. The moment he stepped inside, an icy chill enveloped his entire body. Sight, hearing, and psychic power perception vanished completely, as if he were trapped in a vacuum of darkness. Even with his heaven-opening divine eye open, he could only see a few yards ahead. How could he fight like this? Xie Chukai appeared beside Li Wei like a phantom, pushing the blood pool Silver Sea to its limit and slashing out with his blade. Only when the danger was within 6 yards did Li Wei realize he couldn't react in time to defend himself. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Shuangsheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 140-395 The Third Palace Master Arrives. 140th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei activated the forward character technique, his body flickering to dodge the attack and narrowly escaping the dark domain. Boom. Boom. Xie Chukai, wielding his silver blade, channeled his spiritual chi to control 10 battle artifacts. He manipulated them like 10 stars, forcing Li Wei, who wielded the Dragon Soul and Fusang Divine Tree, to retreat continuously. This dark domain is too strange. Only someone with cultivation as profound as the Six Desires Dharma King, at the 8th level of the Tao Seed realm, could shatter it with a single punch. Light and darkness are mutually dependent and antagonistic. It's impossible to break through. The dragon soul swished its tail, sending several spiritual artifacts flying back at Xie Chukai. This bought Li Wei a brief respite. Seizing the opportunity, Li Wei soared into the air, raising his myriad manifestations staff spear above his head. Starry trails appeared on his body. Instantly, starlight from beyond the heavens pierced through the branches of the earth demon pine and converged upon him. His body and the staff spear became radiant with starlight, and he brought it crashing down. Xie Chukai, who had been soaring upward through the dark domain, his expression shifting dramatically, immediately changed his attack, slashing his blade toward the starlight. The starlight shattered the dark domain and sent Xie Chukai plummeting back to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Boom. Then came the second strike, the third. Li Wei continuously channeled starlight radiance, striking down at the dark domain below, relentlessly dispersing the darkness. Incredible. What technique is that? Even starlight is being pulled down. Xie Chukai thought he had the advantage of timing, but he didn't realize that the night sky holds not only darkness but also the vast starry sea above. Is this what the challenge letter meant by frost star reflecting snow? And Shanjing stared intently at the staff spear in Li Wei's hand, then turned to Yao Qingshan beside her, her eyes asking for an explanation. Yao Qingshan shook her head gently, completely unaware. I didn't give it to him. He must have found this opportunity himself in the underground immortal mansion. It's extraordinary, likely a key artifact of the ancient Bhagavata sect. He's being reckless. Driven by youthful arrogance, he's willing to reveal all his trump cards just to win, and Shanjing said. Yao Qingshan replied, indeed, he shouldn't put himself in such danger. But if he loses tonight, I'll be even angrier. Roar. Roar. Countless dragon roars erupted, boiling the mountain peak. The fiery glow illuminated the scene, transforming it into a nest of 10,000 dragons. From the wind mansion at the back of Li Wei's head, 7-clawed flame heavenly dragons soared forth, filling the sky with scriptures and activating spiritual chi energy, a clear sign of an impending breakthrough. These 7-clawed flame heavenly dragons devoured the scriptures unleashed by the immortality golden pill. This phenomenon had persisted for many days within Li Wei's wind mansion, but now it erupted uncontrollably. Neither Li Wei nor Tang Wanzhou had anticipated such an event. Tang Wanzhou termed it, myriad dragons devouring the Tao, believing the 7-clawed flame heavenly dragons were too divine. Ordinary scriptures were merely food for them, which they could directly consume to nourish themselves. A normal cultivator's Tao seed is like cultivating a plant, requiring sunlight, soil, and water to grow slowly over a century into a towering tree, much like the process of a martial mystic cultivator comprehending the Tao. But because of the 7-clawed flame heavenly dragons, Li Wei's wind mansion dragon seed was no longer a docile plant. It had become a raging beast that could devour plants to grow rapidly. As a result, Li Wei's wind mansion dragon seed had no need to worry about an unstable foundation. It was a heavenly dragon, not a tree, not a tower, it didn't need a foundation. A heavenly dragon needed only food, its species' inherent level was its foundation. Did I see that right? 7-clawed. His Tao heart manifestation showed a dragon shadow with 7 claws. Isn't that a heavenly dragon? A young heavenly pride cultivating the dragon seed Tao asked, turning to Immortal Zhe and Zhang Ning. Immortal Zhe frowned, a look of embarrassment on his face. Yes, it's 7-clawed. Truly extraordinary. The immortal masters of the Calamity Crossing Temple once said that martial mystic cultivators cultivating the dragon seed Tao need to continuously refine ancient immortal dragon blood until they reach the transcendent realm to manifest a heavenly dragon light and shadow from their spiritual chi. Alternatively, they could achieve the martial mystic Tao ancient heavenly emperor title. The young heavenly pride continued, Lord Zhe, your Tao heart manifestation is a 5-clawed true dragon, isn't it? Immortal Zhe hadn't thought much of this before. The young celestial emperor of the Calamity Crossing Temple, who cultivated the dragon seed Tao, all manifested 5-clawed true dragons in the Tao seed realm, putting them far ahead of all other heavenly prides and heroes. Luansheng Linyu's ability to cultivate a 6-clawed immortal dragon was due to his dragon clan bloodline as the direct descendant of a flying dragon. Having cultivated the great Tao of the dragon clan since childhood, he was naturally unmatched by humans. Hearing this now, however, Immortal Zhe grew increasingly uncomfortable. You're also cultivating the dragon seed Tao, yet your Tao heart manifestation is just a 2-clawed flood dragon. The young heavenly pride chuckled awkwardly, Lord Zhe, don't get so worked up. No matter how powerful he is, he's still cultivating the wind mansion dragon seed. He'll never reach the immortal realm. The scene erupting from Li Wei's wind mansion, located at the back of his head, put to rest the doubts of those who had suspected his ancestral field was still intact. If his ancestral field hadn't been damaged, how could he have seeded Dao in his wind mansion? No matter how brilliant he was, it would still be a flawed and inferior root, forever locking his martial mystic path at its peak. On the ground, Xie Chukai sensed Li Wei's martial mystic path breaking through. He knew this was bad news. If his opponent's strength increased by another tenth, he would be in a dire situation. Whoosh! Xie Chukai used his blood robe to withstand the starlight raining down from above. Behind him, space shuddered violently, and a crack appeared. A piercing cracking sound echoed through the heavens and earth. After Shi Luyu's battle with Xie Chukai, Zhang Ning had sent Zhuang Yu to investigate the crack's origin. She shouted a warning: "Be careful of the dark true spirit raised by the sacred dark family." Li Wei had already sensed the terrifying aura emanating from beyond the spatial crack, ancient, chilling, and reminiscent of the gates of hell about to open. The dragon soul flew out, charging toward Xie Chukai to prevent him from releasing the dark true spirit. PFF'd. The dragon soul struck Xie Chukai, sending him spitting blood and staggering backward. The blood on the ground transformed into blood qi and flew toward the spatial rift. Crack. The rift widened, spewing forth a torrent of heterodox scriptures and deathly power to repel the dragon soul's attack. A pale, withered hand emerged from the rift, a grotesque sight that sent chills down the spine and struck fear into the soul spirit. The situation was too strange. Li Wei dared not release Little Seven, fearing they would perish at the hands of the dark true spirit or be recognized by the powerful figures in Lingxiao City. Li Wei poured all his energy into a martial mystic Dao breakthrough, pulling the spiritual qi and scriptures of the seven-clawed flame heavenly dragon form. Within the wind mansion, he began to condense a Dao lotus. Boom! Boom! The dragon soul and Xie Chukai clashed fiercely, diverting his intent and buying Li Wei precious time. Before long, half of the dark true spirit's body had squeezed through the rift. Its upper half alone was over 2 meters long, resembling a pale, withered corpse, bones wrapped in human skin, with 3 eyes. Li Wei retrieved a dead spirit puppet from his boundary pouch. The moment the puppet charged forward, the dark true spirit, summoned by Xie Chukai, slammed it into the ground with a single palm strike. Hurry, hurry! Li Wei knew perfectly well that only the power of the yellow dragon sword and the purple heaven thunder seal could defeat such an evil entity. However, with his cultivation at the third heaven of the Dao Seed realm, his ability to wield the yellow dragon sword and the purple heaven thunder seal was severely limited. Boom! The dark true spirit fully emerged from the spatial rift, instantly filling the entire mountaintop with a suffocating aura of malevolence. Countless martial mystic cultivators watching the battle fled down the mountain in terror. It took the blood pool silver sea battle blade from Xie Chukai's grasp and swung it down. The dragon soul shattered, transforming into wisps of faint soul mist that flew back into the governor's official robe. Use your protective talisman. Tai Shiyu shouted. Li Wei didn't use his protective talisman. He locked eyes with Xie Chukai and the dark true spirit, then took a deep breath, drew the yellow dragon sword, and let his long hair fly in the wind. Holding the sword in one hand and a spear in the other, he stepped into the air. He strode forward with his fighting spirit reaching its peak, and lotus flowers bloomed beneath his feet. One step, one lotus. Each lotus was formed of condensed spiritual qi and had 9 petals. He's condensed a Dao lotus. It's the Dao heart manifestation projected beneath his feet. Someone exclaimed. Many eyes fixed on the lotus flowers beneath Li Wei's feet. When they saw that each had 9 petals, gasps of cold air filled the air. The 9-petaled Dao lotus. I knew his Dao lotus wouldn't be low grade. Indeed, it has reached the extreme, Immortal Jie said with a wry smile, as if he had anticipated this all along. Others, constrained by the wind mansion, were no weaker than him, and had also unleashed the full potential of their dragon seed. The lowest grade Dao lotus had 3 petals. Many inferior root Dao Seed realm martial mystic cultivators, influenced by the wind mansion, could only condense a 3-petaled Dao lotus. Dragon seeds were top-tier Dao seeds. The young martial mystic cultivators who had seeded Dao with dragon seeds all possessed exceptional talent. Even the worst among them could cultivate a 6-petaled Dao lotus. With the dark true spirit's aid, Xie Chukai was brimming with confidence. He roared, breaking through to the 4th heaven is nothing. You're still far from my level. He adopted a bow stance, his hands forming clouds of spiritual qi as he activated 10 spiritual artifacts. They soared over the dark true spirit's head and attacked Li Wei in unison. How could Li Wei rely solely on martial mystic path strength? He had to go all out and drive Xie Chukai into a desperate, life-or-death situation. He leapt into the air, raising his spear in one hand to draw down the starlight radiance from the heavens. In the other hand, he held his sword, its blade displaying the 9 characters of the 6 Jaw Secrets incantation, which summoned countless bolts of lightning. Spear and sword clashed. Boom. Starlight and lightning, 2 opposing forces, intertwined to form a brilliant, thick pillar of light that blasted away all incoming spiritual artifacts, slamming into the dark true spirit. The yellow dragon sword had summoned not ordinary lightning, but the six-jaw yang lightning, capable of incinerating yin energy and dispelling evil. The dark true spirit slashed its blade through the pillar of light and lightning. As the lightning coursed through its body, its skin immediately hissed and crackled. Li Wei saw through the dark true spirit's invincibility. Its power was limited by Xie Chukai. He combined psychic power and the martial mystic path. Karma Burning Wheel. Using his body and the Fusong Divine Tree as pivots, Li Wei raised his spear in one hand and his sword in the other. He summoned Starlight Radiance and Six-Jaw Yang Lightning to swirl around the fiery grinding wheel as it crashed down upon the dark true spirit with overwhelming force. The Karma Burning Wheel itself possessed the power to purify dead spirits. Boom. Boom. The dark true spirit was struck by the massive, several-yard-wide Karma Burning Wheel and sent flying, unable to resist. Xie Chukai watched the dark true spirit soar overhead, his mind momentarily blank. In the next instant, the scorching heatwave from the Karma Burning Wheel swept over him. There was no way to defend against it. All the power he unleashed was instantly crushed. PFF'd. Xie Chukai's body was caught in the wheel. Blood poured from his 7 orifices, the sound of bones shattering echoed within him, and his screams of agony replaced his earlier arrogance. Below, within a Zen temple at the foot of the mountain, an elder from the sacred dark family, clad in a black robe and with white hair, let out a furious snort and soared into the sky. But before he could reach the halfway point, his body plummeted back down. They said it would be a fair fight, with life and death left to fate. Surely the sacred dark family isn't so petty as to be unable to accept defeat. A vast female voice echoed. The third palace master stepped across the void from the peak of Qilin Terrace, standing above the Six Thoughts Zen temple. Her spiritual light, Lingguang, illuminated the heavens, turning the world into daylight, her psychic power dominating the entire cloud heaven, Yuntian, immortal plane. Above Lingxiao City, the 9 heavens beyond the cloud's grand formation, the most powerful formation Mist Heavenly Sovereign had devised, was activated. The spectral images of 9 ancient immortal giant beasts flickered within the formation. The third palace master stood at the center of the formation, her figure graceful and peerless, her colorful ribbons fluttering in the wind. A mental whisper entered Li Wei's mind. Only by controlling a person's life and death can you extract useful information. He may not know much, but he's the only one who might speak. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.